Another fantastic episode of Warrior. But we're nearing the end. Asam has not reached his hero arc yet. My Ling might not even live to see the next episode. Young Jun might not either. I don't know what the hell's gonna happen. We won't even get a season 4 because of the SAG-AFTRA strike and all that stuff. F all that. Let's focus on now. Episode 6. A soft heart won't do you no favors. Last episode, Asam made a tough deal with Mai Ling in order to save both father and Young Jun from being deported. Now we're seeing the consequences of that deal take place at an ice factory. Nudge nudge, wink wink, the big boss. But our Hopway boys are smart. Not everything they owe in their deal to Mai Ling has to go through her. So they set out on their horse and buggy to make a deal with a German man that Father Jun once knew from back in the day. Road trip! Speaking of road trips, Chow and Lee are also on a road trip. Against their will. But we'll come back to them later. The only other thread explored in this episode, aside from our Hopway boys, is our unlikely dual partnership that is Douglas Strickland III and Dylan fucking Leary. Leary's dipping his toes in the rich and established world in order to make an impression. I also love how confrontational he was with everyone at the party. He gets a taste of good whiskey, then tells the bartender to fill it up fully. He even tells one of the rich dudes straight up to his face that they were born into their money and never had to work a single day in their life. You know, as much as I don't like Leary being against the Chinese and wanting them to be deported back, he's a fucking gangster when it comes to speaking for the working class men. Douglas tries to remind Leary to filter himself in order to make better connections, but I don't think Leary cares too much. Douglas then proceeds to spill the beans about how Thayer's daughter is not a virgin and had a secret child that he raised as his own. That's a whole other show waiting to be made. The Life of Ducks. Or The Duck Life. Back at Abigail's bar, Happy Jack is very happy about getting rid of Chow and Lee. Abigail definitely knows he's done something to Lee, but Happy Jack threatens her to not speak out about it, and she lets it go. While that happens, Lee and Chow are dragged back in chains back to who else but Lee's aunt and cousin, who want revenge. This was a duo of characters I didn't expect to be thoroughly entertained by. When they're talking in the back of the carriage, and Chow talks about how they are going to survive by working together, I thought that was neat. But Lee's too much of a Boy Scout like he always is to work with criminals and refuses. Honestly, I'm pretty sure I like this duo because they are alike in one way. They both loved a woman of a different race and culture, regardless of the times, and had to let go of their love for them in order to save a part of themselves. At the end of the journey, the carriage breaks down, Chow escapes, and Lee tries to show empathy for his youngest cousin named Carter in order to show him a better path. But he's forced to gun down more of his family when Chow comes back to help Lee. I really felt for Lee in this episode. Like, he tried his hardest and even damnedest to let his cousin Carter walk away and choose a better path because that's not who he is, and that's what his aunt made him. But then, he still has to gun them down regardless, and then that just hurts. Like, you can see the hurt when he has to do it and the guilt. So much has happened to our Boy Scout Lee this season and even in the previous seasons that I think the only upside right now he has is Abigail. But I'm just hoping he gets a happy ending of some sort eventually. Back with the Hopway, our boys' road trip takes them to an old church town where we meet a German acquaintance of Father Jun. They settle a deal on storing their counterfeit chop with the leader and celebrate. That story with the dog Cecil and Father Jun from back in the day just had that tension building and building because you're like, is this deal gonna go south or is it gonna go very right? And, that whole scene and how it ended, I had the same face Young Jun had when the deal went over smoothly. It surprised the hell out of me that Father Jun knew how to speak German. I thought he was gonna reply in broken English. But with every town, there are some dark secrets within it, and this one comes in the form of 4 grown men beating on a kid who allegedly stole money. Asam tries to step up for the kid, but Young Jun holds him back since it's not their place to be involved. And I get where both are coming from. On Asam's side, you want to stop the injustice against the kid, but then on Young Jun's side, you already had a deal go over smoothly, so you do not want to rock that boat regardless of the situation. So it makes sense that it's tough on both ends. Sadly, the next day as they depart the church town, they find the kid's dead body propped up to a pole where their mother mourns them, and the kid's mother is played by Bruce Lee's daughter, Shannon Lee. A big surprise to everyone, including me. Asam comforts the mother for a moment, before basically saying fuck the Hopway bullshit, and chooses to go back and make things right. which forces young June and Father June to help him out. And look! Assam's wearing white again! Hashtag hero arc! They fight, dice, and shoot their way through the Krauts with an awesome one-shot scene that showcases each character during the fight. And even Shannon's character gets into the fight. Assam's fight in the church also reminds me a lot of Chang Chao-an from The Big Boss 2, especially when he's fighting with the knives. Our Hopway boys kill every Kraut in the church town and avenge the kid, but at the cost of Father June getting shot in the gut. What an episode. Goddamn. I really wonder if Father June is gonna make it out or not, because regardless if he makes it out or not by the end of next episode, it's gonna be Assam's fault for going back in the town when they had a deal already. Also, I cannot forget that opening scene before the intro, where young June and Mai Ling are talking, and then they bring up about how Assam's really close with Yami, and Mai Ling is basically saying, you might want to keep an eye on her to keep my brother in check. And I'm just like, bitch. Lee and Chow were also a surprise in this episode. They made Lee's moral compass front and center within this episode with his scenes, but then they also highlighted Chow's loyalty, I guess you could say. Maybe not so much loyalty, but just his method of approaching things. Because like how he said with making a deal, it's almost kind of like making peace with another party. Honestly, I'd like to see this duo more in the future. Lee and Chow have a good dynamic going on, and I think it'd be cool to see them expanded. Hell, just give those two a spin-off show if that's even possible. And that was episode 7 of Warrior. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit the bell so you don't miss the next breakdown. And stay itchy, my fellow onions.